Hi, and welcome to the Voice of Aging. I'm your host, Bryn Malone, owner of Aging Solutions here in the Pacific Northwest. Um, we are here to bring you another educational video to learn more about how you out in the community can support your loved ones, your friends, and your neighbors. And we are just very fortunate today to have with us Jessica Thompson. Jessica works for a home care agency called Generations here in the Pacific Northwest, and I believe they have, how many facilities do you have? Four in the state? In this state?
Yes, we have three in Washington, one
Okay,
in Tacoma, Bremerton, and Spokane,
okay.
and we just opened a location in Texas. So
In
it's brand new.
Texas.
Yes.
Wow. We'll
Yeah.
dive into that in a little bit. So we're just really happy that Jessica has decided to join us and educate us a little bit about what do we call it? Private duty? How do you refer to yourself in your business, what you do?
In home care.
In-home care.
Yeah.
Do you ever refer to it as home health care?
No, home health is quite different. So
Okay,
that's kind of under the watch of a registered nurse.
okay, okay. So let's talk a little bit about um, your experience, your personal experience with home care. When did you start getting involved with home care?
Yeah, so actually, this time 6 years ago,
Okay,
my mom has been a caregiver pretty much my whole entire life, and I was ready to kind of get back to work after raising the kiddos for a little bit. And so started out as a caregiver 6 years ago and found Generations and absolutely loved it.
yeah,
But I was working more full-time hours with a different agency, and so it was very minimal caregiving with Generations. And then an opportunity popped up for me to work in the office, and that was a little over 2 years ago.
okay.
And it's been phenomenal.
That's great. So I want to dive in for the folks a little bit about. You said you were a caregiver, and that's where you
Mhm.
started out. So that's good. So you know the ropes from
Yes.
the starting points to now you're in kind of management,
Yeah.
right? And
Yep.
supervision. Is that
Mhm.
a better word? Supervision. Okay. So what if you're a caregiver, do you have to get certifications or licenses or what does it take? I mean,
Yes.
okay, can you tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about what people should
Yeah.
be asking and
So in Washington State, there is a process. So caregivers get hired. They do not have to necessarily have experience, but we do start a process of 5 hours of training before you can be alone with a client.
okay.
And then there's a certain amount of days that the state allows for caregivers to finish their 75 hours worth of training.
Okay.
And then after that, they have a certain amount of time to take the test and then get licensed.
Okay.
And there have been certain exceptions with COVID and a couple other things, but generally, I believe it's about 200 days, and then you need to be certified to continue working.
Okay, so can we talk a little bit about the training? Because if I'm going to invite you into my home, quite honestly,
Hmm.
to look at my parents or my loved one, I'm going to know what kind of training you went through. I've been doing this a long time and I've brought in a lot of agencies, including Generations, which I've been
Hmm.
happy with for my clients. But rarely, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say or ask, like, what's that training look like? I mean, do
Yeah.
they teach you how to cook in that training, or run a vacuum, or what is that training? Can you go over what the training kind of
Yeah,
entails?
yeah. Well, they do need to get their handler's card, so
Okay.
that might help with the cooking and the preparation.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Yeah, we have had clients in the past comment on certain with our younger caregivers,
yeah.
certain tasks like vacuuming might need a little training on.
And how to make a bed and do a French corner. Do you
Yes,
know how to do a French
absolutely.
corner?
I do not.
Well, hey, I can show you.
But we do have clients that I think would be willing to show our
Yeah.
caregivers, which
Okay.
is kind of neat. We have a lot of scenarios where the client shows the caregiver.
It shows the caregiver how to do
Yeah.
certain things.
Hmm.
Okay. I think that speaks also, is there an average age that you have for caregivers? Are you seeing a trend like caregivers who are retired and just want something to do? or are they mostly, just getting out of high school or getting a GED or going to junior college before they take the next step, or maybe a preparation to go into a nursing or medical field? What do you see?
Yeah, all of the above.
Okay.
Yeah. Um, Pretty much everything you listed is very consistent. We see all of it from just graduating high school and just kind of taking a break before college, or trying to get a little bit of experience as they're starting nursing school.
Yeah.
And then we have the caregivers that have just been caregivers forever,
Yeah.
40 years, my mom included.
Okay. She must had a passion for it.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. And they keep going and they're great.
Yeah. So with the training, they get their food handler's license. It can be an injury-prone profession. So what kind of other things, if you're bringing in, you're doing training, what other things are you training the caregivers on? Can you tell me what other things?
Yeah, so at Generations, it's really neat. We've created this training room.
Okay.
One of our coworkers in Tacoma helped kind of set it up, and it's been a really great resource for our caregivers. So at orientation, before they even start their training process through the state, we do some hands-on skills training with them in our training room.
Okay.
And then we also offer that continued training throughout their career as a caregiver. So if they, a couple months down the road, they get a client that needs a Hoyer lift and they've never used a Hoyer, they've only trained with the online videos or something like that, we offer for them to either come into our training room, or we can also go out to them on site with their client, and we'll train on the Hoyer or bed changes or whatever they need.
Okay, so let me listen. Hoyer lift, which I'll have you explain to the folks. And then, because we're using medical terms, a lot of people probably don't know what a Hoyer lift is unless they've had experience, right? What can I expect if my loved one falls on the floor? Are you going to pick them up?
No.
No.
Nope.
Why not?
We have to call 911.
Okay.
Yeah, because we want, first of all, we don't know, we're not able, as home care aides, we can't assess if anything's broken, and sometimes you don't know, there could be internal bleeding, which you can't necessarily see.
Yeah.
So we want to make sure that we're not moving the client in case of that. And then also for the safety of the caregiver, we don't want any back injuries or anything like that.
So how do you train them to not have a back injury? One, just tell them don't lift. But at some point, if somebody needs to, some other assistance, can caregivers actually touch the client?
Depending, yes.
Depending on what?
Yeah. Do you mean if they've had a fall?
No, not if they've had a fall. Let's just say they need to stand up out of a chair or a couch.
Yes. Yes. So it depends if the client can bear weight or not.
Okay.
If they're extremely weak and cannot stand at all, like they try to stand and they fall back, that's where the Hoyer, that term, that comes in.
Okay.
Or we have devices, it's called a sit to stand. That would be the next step. If they can bear weight just a little bit, then this device kind of lifts them up and gives them support to be able to transfer them. Or if they have enough strength, we use what's called a gait belt.
Okay.
And that saves the caregiver's back and keeps the client safe. And it's just a little belt you wrap around them. It's super simple. And then you can kind of hoist them up, but they also have the strength to kind of pull themselves up as well.
Okay.
It's pretty magical.
So pretty magical. Okay. So we have home care coming in, and we have a little bit of an idea of some of the training that the home care aides, are they called aides or home care? What are you called?
Yeah,
Caregivers?
home care aide or caregiver.
Oh, caregivers. Okay. So they're trained on food handling. They're trained on really approaches and do's and don'ts as far as clients if they have an accident or fall, but how to assist clients if they're walking, or maybe observing a fall, those kind of things, right? Cleaning, I think we talked about making beds and keeping the house tidy, right?
Mhm.
But how do we know what each family's going to need, right? So, from your experience, what's it look like? When do families finally pick up the phone and say, "Hey, you know what? We want to know what you guys do, and can
Mhm.
you come and talk to us about it?" What's that
Yeah.
conversation?
Yeah.
Conversation.
A lot of times it comes out of a little bit of desperation. So we have families that are kind of at the point where they're burned out,
Okay.
exhausted, or feeling like, wow, this care is getting really intensive and pretty personal, and we don't
Yeah.
want to be doing that for mom.
Yeah. Are you talking about personal hygiene?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
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 A little too much for kids
Yeah.
and friends and neighbors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
there's an extreme change in condition where they
Uh,
have a fall
yeah.
or they have a stroke.
Yeah.
So a lot of our calls are they generally need some immediate attention. Not all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Some families plan ahead and they just kind of see, oh, mom, she's really having some trouble with cooking, and we want to make sure that she's making healthy foods for herself and things like that.
Okay. So families call. I think you said it. They're kind of at their wits' end or desperation, or sometimes the changes are subtle. Where mom's just
Mhm.
not cooking as well, or just maybe going to the donuts and cookies, right?
Yeah.
The sugar high.
They like the sweets.
Yeah. Well, it gives them that boost of energy,
Yeah.
right? And so there might be some subtle changes. There might be some immediate changes caused by a stroke, a heart attack,
Mhm.
a fall, anything like that, right?
Mhm.
And so
Yeah.
then you folks are called in. Um, so let's look at they call in, and then uh, you say, "Yeah, we can sign you up today." Is that how you work?
It depends.
Okay. Or what do you usually do? What are your steps?
Yeah, so that part is not my job. So that's
Okay.
the initial call,
Okay.
and we have our onboarding specialist,
Okay.
typically who would take those calls. And during the call, they would kind of assess the situation, and
Yeah.
they're really great at reading the room,
Okay.
in terms of urgency, if a family member feels kind of panicky, and then also if it's a hospice situation.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we do try our best to meet the needs of families when families are kind of getting the report that, this is something where your mom needs 24/7 care,
Mm-hmm.
and the family's just completely burned out, and they're like, how soon can you help? Because we
Yeah.
just need sleep and we need
Yeah.
to make sure dad's going to be safe and not get out of bed and fall.
Yeah.
So that's when our onboarding specialists will really try and make it a point to go out that day.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when they go out and they sit with the family, um, what are they asking questions of the family, or is there a formal process that most home care agencies have?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have a nice little assessment form,
Okay.
and that goes all over all of the client's basic information, and then it gets into their care needs, their care goals, everything that we try and capture as much information on the assessment as we can, because that's ultimately what is relayed to the caregiver.
Yeah.
And so they will read that plan of care when they get to the client's home.
Okay. So what are some of the questions? Do you know any of the questions on the assessment? Can you
Yeah.
give us a little, like, throw some questions out at me? Go ahead.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, so we'll ask, of course, the basic information. What's your height? What's your weight?
I don't want to
Um,
disclose that on camera. So
do you have good hearing?
what?
I
Y-
get that a lot.
Yeah, I bet you do. Yeah, everybody's going to be a
Yeah.
jokester, right?
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so you ask about hearing.
And
Okay.
then we will ask just about basic needs in terms of bathroom assistance,
Okay.
transfer assistance, ambulation. So, do you move around the house with a walker, completely independent, things
Mhm.
like that?
Okay.
We ask how their appetite is and what their favorite meals are.
Okay.
With some of our clients, it's really funny hearing like some of them can be really picky. Some of them will just eat anything. So,
Well, that's good.
yeah.
You want to
Yeah.
be that caregiver that whatever they put in front of them, they eat, right? That's
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
yeah. So you get to know the person, and I'm sure the families and friends are there helping and assist
Mhm.
with the history of that person, because
Yeah.
sometimes they might forget or not really be aware of their vision. So you go through the
Mhm.
vision, the hearing,
Yep. Any
sensory.
mental issues, all medical issues.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you go through their medication list.
Mhm.
Okay. Who their doctor is.
We don't necessarily need to have that information.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of medical information do you need to have?
We just need to know any information that would kind of impact their care.
Mm-hmm.
So if they've had a history of stroke and they're paralyzed on the left side,
Mm-hmm.
that's very helpful information. If they've had a fall and they broke their femur, that's very helpful for caregivers.
Okay.
Any sort of blood pressure issues, if they take insulin, I could go on forever.
Well, we've got forever, time-wise.
Wait
We,
on that.
we're
No.
we're here to yeah, we're here to learn. So yeah, so we're kind of nipping at the medical piece of it.
Mhm.
Can caregivers make sure mom or dad gets their medication?
Yes, they can do the medication reminders, but they cannot administer the medication. So they cannot put the pill in the client's mouth or do the actual injection, but they can assist.
So what's assist look like? What's that? What does that mean, assist?
So if it's the client needing help with grabbing the medication,
Mm-hmm.
the caregiver can basically do everything except insert the pill into the client's mouth. So
Mm-hmm.
if the caregiver puts the pill in their hand, they can guide it to their mouth.
Okay.
But they do need to know what medications they're taking. Caregivers can't hide the pill in yogurt or
Okay.
anything like
Can't
that.
You
That'd be a
can't crush the
no-no.
pill and put it in
No
yogurt
crushing.
or
No.
applesauce. So in essence, really, the caregivers have very limited touch to any medication, right?
Yes. And so
Okay.
that's where home health comes in
Uh-huh.
because they can actually, I don't know all the rules, but I do know that they can organize the pill boxes.
Uh-huh.
Caregivers cannot do that.
Okay. So um, just a little caveat to that. I think you have to have a nursing license to manage any medications,
Yeah,
correct?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Yeah.
Or we could maybe get into this, but there's a nurse delegation process
Yeah.
where caregivers are overseen by a nurse to do
Yep.
certain tasks.
Well, we are going to have a podcast on nurse delegation and home health as well.
Oh,
So all this,
perfect.
if people watch all three, they'll understand what can be done at home and what can't be done at
Yes.
home. So, all right, so that's good. So that helps with the medication. What else can they help with? If somebody like has catheter, a subpubic catheter
Mhm.
or ostomy bag or anything like that. What are the parameters of which assistance, how much assistance can we expect
Yeah,
from a home care
so
agency?
caregivers, they can clean the catheter on the outside and they can empty the bag, but they can't do any flushing of the catheter or
Hmm.
anything like that. That's a nurse delegated task,
Hmm.
which I'm actually working on right now with a client.
Okay, great.
Getting that task delegated so that the caregivers can flush out the catheter.
So being that you brought that up, so just give us a real brief definition of what a nurse delegation means on your end of it.
Yeah.
Who's the nurse? Like you have an RN, and are they there at the time that the flush is happening, or what does the delegation really mean?
Yeah, so the delegation process would be we just need to make sure that our caregivers are, first of all, certified, and then they go through a delegation class online.
Okay.
And then once we receive those certifications, we can send those to the company that we are doing the nurse delegation process through.
Okay.
We're actually in a little bit of transition in who we're using as our delegators.
Okay.
So I'm a little bit new to our new process.
Yeah.
But so what will happen next is the best process would be to be able to get all the caregivers on that client's team all at once, so at one time, because it's hard for the nurse to come out multiple times. And the nurse would come out to the client's home, and then we would have the entire caregiving team there, and the
Okay.
nurse would then train on that delegated task. So flushing out the catheter will
Yeah.
be next week for us.
Okay.
And then it's, don't quote me on this, but
Right.
what I am most familiar with is that there is a monthly charge, separate charge to the client through this nurse delegated
delegation.
company.
Yeah.
And then the nurse oversees the caregivers
Yeah.
for the task.
So I imagine the company would come in, and don't quote me on this, would come in and just make sure that, monthly or whatever their procedure is to make sure that everything's going as they instructed, right? Because they're basically at that time assuming responsibility for what the care that your caregivers who work for your company are delivering to the client. So there's a lot of things that go on with that, and we won't really run into it too much, but infection control is one huge item on that list, right? Especially when we're dealing with catheters. So
Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's great. So we do that. People, I'm just going to keep summarizing as we walk through this together. Okay. People call, you talk to them, or somebody talks to them. You find out a little bit of what their need is, why they're calling. Is it an emergency kind of thing, or is this something that's just chronic and getting worse, and it's time that we invite someone into the home. And then you go out and you do an assessment. You get to know the client, what the client's wants, needs, and goals are, right? And everyone's goal at this point is probably stay at home, stay independent as possible.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep, that's right. That's what we do.
That's what you do. Okay. Is that part of your, welcome to home care? We keep you home and independent. Is that what it is?
I don't know what Jeff says.
Okay. All right. Jeff's her boss, by the way. So, okay. So we do that. And what are, you guys are private pay, right? So you don't accept state or federal funding systems, like Medicare doesn't pay for you folks.
Right.
Veterans Administration may pay sometimes.
Yes,
right?
we do take VA authorizations.
VA
we have
authorization.
Quite a few VA clients.
Okay, and then if you're not a veteran, or if you are a veteran but haven't signed up yet and you still need home care, you can get it, but you're going to what we call private pay. That means crack open your checkbook and pay us.
Yes.
So talk to us about some of what that looks like. How many hours a day? How many days a week? And then kind of what you think people might end up spending. I know that's why I want to get into is like it's dependent on the hours a day of help. So what do you see people asking for there?
Yeah. So it's actually quite different, Spokane location versus Tacoma. We have a lot of clients that just need those shorter hours, like 4-hour shifts with companionship and housekeeping. And we do get higher needs clients that might be 12 hours or 24/7. But we have a lot of those shorter 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening, which comes with its own hurdles. Tacoma, generally, they have a lot more of the 24/7 live-in type situations. Yeah.
So if I'm a caregiver, why do I want a 2-hour shift or a 4-hour shift?
You definitely want a 2-hour shift because it pays more.
Okay.
And if you stack the shifts, you could still get in an 8-hour day and make a lot more money.
Okay. So if I'm a client, on the other side of that coin, if I'm a client, I'm going to pay more to have a shorter shift, hoping that I'm saving money, right? If I'm the client.
Yeah.
If I'm a caregiver, I'm thinking of it from the standpoint of, well, if I got an 8-hour shift with a client, that's my day. I'm only going to one client a day, right? So I'm not traveling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what if I have 2 4-hour shifts a day? Is that something that your caregivers like to have?
A lot of them do. We have a lot of caregivers, especially I've managed most of like North and Central Spokane,
Okay.
and it seems like the client need in Central Spokane really matches the caregiver need in terms of hours and availability.
Okay.
We have a lot of moms that have kiddos in school, and so they need those school hours.
Uh-huh.
So those 9 to 1 or 10 to 2 shifts are perfect for them.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of kind of the requests we're getting from clients in that area as well,
Yeah.
which is kind of funny. I'm just realizing that, but
Yeah. Well,
it's neat.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So people come out, they sign up, you give them your rate sheet.
Mhm.
So do you encourage them to interview other agencies also?
A lot of times when they come to us, and this isn't always, but we do have clients that have already decided that they want to go with us.
Okay.
There are times where they're a little bit on the fence, and sometimes they do pick a different agency.
Uh-huh.
But that happens.
Yeah.
But we offer a lot more flexibility with hours. A lot of companies will require like a 4-hour minimum. We
Uh-huh.
can do shifts as short as 1 hour.
Okay.
Those are a bit more pricey though.
Yeah.
But we do offer that because we really see a need, especially for those clients that really want to maintain independence, but they just need a little bit of help.
Mm-hmm.
4 hours does not make sense. And
Yeah.
it's hard to push people to have a random stranger in your home for 4 hours
Yeah.
when they don't need it.
Yeah, I understand that. So what are some of the benefits if let's say I'm the receiver someday of a home care person being invited in my home to take care of my wants and needs. What are the benefits to me? Why would I want that? I mean, let's say I get up, but I'm just doing it a little bit more slowly.
Uh-huh.
And let's say I just order, online or whatever, have my food delivered, maybe not be healthy, but it works, right?
Yeah.
So what can I expect if I'm the receiver or if I'm if my kids, what's the benefit of bringing a home care agency in?
Yeah. I think just overall support. Um, Sometimes it starts out with minimal help,
Uh-huh.
and that oftentimes we see that the need increasing. And I always like to encourage clients, even if we're just getting care started with a few hours a day, 2 days a week,
Yeah.
just kind of exposing yourself to that and getting used to having the help and having someone in your home, because we really can't predict for times when you have that fall or something major happens, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh gosh, I need some real help here.
Yeah. So are you selling me on the safety?
Yeah, safety for me, from being a caregiver, I've walked into situations where families have compromised on the amount of care they're having for their mom. And, I had a situation where I was doing overnights for a client, and then she was still very, very weak. She
Uh-huh.
had a lot of UTIs and things. And the family said, oh, no, no, we don't need nights anymore. And then not even a week later, the daytime caregiver walks in, they find her on the floor. She had a fall at night. She
Uh-huh.
was too weak, and she was on the floor for probably 6 hours waiting for her caregiver. So I always like to encourage families like the safety factor is very important to consider
Yeah.
because you can't plan for things like that. So
No. It's that they were trying to save some money.
they were trying to save some money.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I
It is
understand.
expensive.
It can be expensive, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, if you're going to go down this journey and people are going to say, because I want to stay at home, they have to understand it comes with a price tag, right?
Mhm.
And independence comes with a price tag.
Mhm.
So I actually interviewed one of my clients who has home care in preparation for this interview. And I said, please tell me what some of the benefits that you receive from home care might be. And she listed companionship, okay, because she's widowed 4 years ago, I think, 4 years ago, widowed. So there was that transition. She's a mover and a shaker, but she does so slowly. Okay. So she doesn't cook anymore. And she eats at different times, but she says it's nice because the caregivers prepare my meals. Freedom, because they take her to the grocery store and she can get into one of those grocery store, motorized carts. And I won't say on camera that she accidentally backed up and wasn't paying attention and knocked over the beer stack,
No.
Yeah. So that was a funny story. But she appreciates that. What else? Oh, pets. Okay. She has cats. And she's like, I have a caregiver and I never have to change a litter box.
Yep, that can be included in the care plan.
Can it be included?
It sure can.
Okay. So with her goal is to just kind of always remain independent at home. So she's going to get older. She's got, some medical issues, chronic, that she's had since her mid to late 30s. Where do you see her journey going? I mean, she's got like ambulation challenges. She uses a walker now, those kind of things. From your perspective, what's going to happen? She's on 4 hours a day now. And actually, she was 24/7 for a while.
Okay.
For about a year, she was 24/7 because she was dealing with the passing of her husband, and she was grieving, and medically, she was not doing well. She has since come back to the amazement of the doctor who told her, "You're a walking miracle."
Wow.
He said, "When I first met you, I thought I was in my head, thought, you're not long to this side of the world." And here we are 3.5 years later, and she's doing quite well. But her goal is to always stay at home. So where do you see that journey going? She went from 24/7 to 4 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah. Well, it's very hard to predict.
Yeah.
Because in our world, things can change in a millisecond.
Yeah.
So it really just depends. But I think the good news is it sounds like she has a lot of determination.
She does, yeah.
To stay independent as long as possible. And my most recent client, she's still on services, just not a caregiver anymore. She's in her 90s and she's been on 24/7 care for, oh my goodness, probably like 6 years or something.
Yeah, a long time.
And she is just so resilient. And every time we kind of think we're like, oh, I don't know about today, she's still walking and, I mean, doing pretty much everything on her own. I think she kind of likes some of the assistance, like the handing of the toothbrush and things like that. But even that, I encourage her, like, let's have you do it. Because promoting the independence does encourage them to just keep going. So
yeah, that's what this client I was referring to mentioned also. She said, I like to be waited on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
I'm very familiar with that.
So what's one of your fondest or best memories when you were a caregiver of a client, or what was kind of your takeaway that you might miss today being a supervisor?
Oh, I have so many fond memories.
Yeah.
What's really neat about the timing with me becoming a caregiver, I just had a lot of things going on in life, and I had just moved back to town and things just felt really crazy. So it was so nice being able to come to a job where there's just one person and they have so much wisdom and so many stories, and despite how they're feeling that day, they want to talk and connect, and
Yeah.
just share their history and their experiences and, show you how to play old games and
No, wait a minute. What are we talking about? Old games? Yeah, pinochle, bridge.
yeah,
Yeah,
all the games,
all
yeah.
the games.
And it's really neat because one of my clients, she was in her mid-90s and it was a memory game and she beat me every time. And we
Seriously?
played it every time.
Yeah,
I was with her 2 or 3 times a week and I could not believe it because it's very fast. You have to
yeah,
think quick.
yeah.
I couldn't do it.
She beat you.
Oh yeah. I did beat her one time finally after about a year of being with her.
That's good. You never gave up. I appreciate
No, I
that.
didn't give up.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so true. They probably gave you as much or more than you gave them in a lot of ways,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah. Um, do you think having somebody come into the home extends someone's life?
I think so. I really do think so. Because just from what I have experienced, everyone really just wants to stay home. They want to, in some of their homes, they've been there for 50 years and that's all they know.
Yeah.
So being able to stay where they're comfortable and not stressing, if they have a caregiver, not stressing about um, the cleaning and the cooking, they can just live and
Yeah.
then they can also just be with their kids and not worry about their kids taking care of them. That's a
Hmm.
whole other thing too. It takes a lot of stress off
Yeah.
and helps them just be okay.
Kind of frees the spirit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Here's a question. Is there ever a time where a caregiving agency or your caregiving agency might say, we just don't feel like it's safe for you to be at home. It's not safe for our caregivers
Hmm.
to take care of you anymore. We would recommend that you move away from home. Is there ever a
Hmm.
time where that might come into play?
Yeah, it happens a lot. And that's where you come in.
That's where I come in. Yep. We can help you with that transition, right? Yeah. And we can help with just make sure everything goes smoothly and
Yeah, yeah. And there's a lot involved in that, especially if they don't have any family, like the client that we recently worked on with.
together.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep, there was a lot involved in that and
It was complicated.
yeah, it took a lot and
And the thing is, I think people need to understand is it's great to have this option for family, but sometimes it just may not be appropriate to have that person remain at home.
mhm,
And they can actually decline maybe quicker without, you
mhm,
know, nurse like medical intervention, I guess, is where
mhm, mhm.
people might be better off somewhere where there was a nurse on staff or something like
Yes.
that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes, we've seen that a lot. I did have actually a situation recently, a VA client, but he lived kind of like alone in the woods and no family around or anything. And he had a private caregiver that could no longer help him. And so he was just alone.
Uh-huh.
So the VA hours we were able to increase, we increased the authorization,
Yeah.
but still just the amount of, he really needed some home health care. And then just even in terms of how is this man going to be able to eat because he can't even use the microwave.
Oh, really?
And then getting him groceries. He doesn't have any family. He's
Yeah.
a VA client, so caregivers can't drive for him.
Uh-huh.
And so ultimately, it was just a decision made by the family like, okay, we're going to move him down to Boise with us. And it went very smoothly. I
Oh,
was
good.
very happy that
Yeah.
he was able to go with his son. But
Okay.
that's a situation right there.
Yeah. That speaks to that, right?
Hmm.
You just sometimes medically or just, they don't have this, we don't have the strength anymore if we can't microwave something, or
Hmm.
remember to microwave. Are all home care agencies alike?
I don't think so.
Okay. I know
I
you love your agency,
I
but
do. I'm very biased.
but okay, let's be unbiased just for a minute. If I'm a family and I'm comparing agencies and I've met with, a couple of you, two or three, what would your advice be let's say you have a friend or family and they're saying, hey, Jessica, we're going to bring in home care. Let's pretend that you're not in home care, Jessica, for a minute, but you used to work in home care. What would you tell them? Oh, my experience in home care, these are the questions you should ask.
Yeah,
What are
I
the questions?
mean, I think that most people, the first question they want to know is how much is this going to cost?
Uh-huh.
And we do, even at Generations, we encourage families to call around, check for pricing, things like that. And then just a lot of families will ask, well, can you do like emergency transportation if a last minute appointment comes up?
Yeah.
And we encourage families to ask questions like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't initially usually take those calls, so I don't have a lot of experience in
that side of it.
Yeah.
Do you have experience in what we call call outs? Can you explain what a call out is?
From a caregiver?
Yeah, from a caregiver.
Yeah. Lots
And
of
how families
experience with
can
that.
navigate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our onboarding team is phenomenal. That's kind of where it starts. They kind of give the client a heads up of what to expect in terms of what it means if a caregiver calls out. So they're very good at setting the tone and the expectations that come with that.
Okay.
Basically, that caregivers are human. They will get sick.
Yeah.
They will have kids that get sick.
Yeah.
They will get stuck in the snow.
Stuck in the snow. That's a
Yep.
big one.
Yep.
Especially if you live on a hill. Yeah.
I've been in many of those situations.
Yeah.
Stuck on a mountain.
Stuck on a mountain.
Yes.
Yep.
So what we tell our clients initially is we cannot guarantee coverage all the time, but we absolutely can guarantee communication. Communication is very, very important to us, and we want to deliver whatever news we have to them as soon as possible. And then what I've really experienced as a client manager is that as the more you're communicating with them and just being real, like, this is the information I have, I'll keep you updated. It does create a lot of trust, so that even if I do have to give them the bad news, like, I am so sorry, no one is available today. They're like, okay, thank you for trying, or, because they know the effort is there and that we care and we want them to have the care that day. Yeah.
Well, it's just important for families to understand that it's not predictable, because people do get sick. They do get stuck in the snow or adverse weather conditions. And so always have kind of that backup plan ready for check-ins, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's got to check in on mom and dad. So I think that's just super important.
Yes, it is.
If the caregivers can't be there, what's the contingency plan? What's the backup plan for that? So that's where Aging Solutions, we're happy to say, has some contingency plans for families that support, like, if a caregiver can't be there, making sure mom and dad are safe and those kind of things. So okay, and then let's see, well, I was going to ask you how you work with your families, and you just kind of answered that as far as the communication piece of it. But I do have a question about this. How do you screen your caregivers? And then what do you tell families about having somebody new come into the home? So let's start with, how do you screen your caregivers?
Yeah. So do you mean before they're even hired?
Yeah, before you're even hired, and then once they get hired, do you do background checks, that kind of stuff?
Yeah. So first step is the phone interview.
Okay.
And then if they pass that, they will come in for an in-person interview. And usually our hiring manager says if they pass the phone interview and they're here in person, that they're pretty certain.
Do you have a lot of people
hired.
that don't show up in person?
Yeah, we have quite a few that just don't show up.
Yeah.
That happens.
It's a challenging work environment, right?
Yeah.
Yep. From an employer standpoint, and I'm sure from an employee standpoint also, but I hear this a lot from people who are in healthcare and they're trying to recruit very good people to work with them, that there's a lot of no-shows. There's a lot of no-shows, not call-outs. They're no-shows,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yes, we do have that a lot.
okay, so
Yeah.
you do the phone screening, then they come in, they do the interview, and then you hire them, or you extend an offer. Is that contingent upon what's background checks, or I mean, how do we
Yep.
know these people are
Yeah.
okay to be in someone's home?
Yeah. So we will do a background check, and so they'll run that. I'm not exactly familiar with the step-to-step process, but I
Yeah,
do know we do these things.
yeah, that's okay. You
And
don't have to.
then they will come in for an all-day orientation. And
Yeah,
then after orientation, they will schedule to get their fingerprints. And there's a certain amount of time they have to get those fingerprints done,
okay,
or they cannot continue to
yeah,
work.
okay. And then you run them through whatever law enforcement agency is required, and also maybe a state agency, right, to verify this. So then, what happens if mom or dad calls me and says, "Hey, I'm missing my piece of jewelry, or my watch, my Rolex is gone, or those kind of things. My gun's missing." Um, what's the process for that, and how do you handle that?
Yeah. So we've had that happen a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing we've done, based on a couple scenarios I'm recalling, we just get information. So we talk to the client or the family member. We ask them what's going on, what's missing, kind of just go through that, get it, just information gathering.
Yeah.
And then we'll call the caregiver and do the same thing, just gather information. No one's in trouble yet.
Yeah.
But it really does depend on the scenario too. We've had situations escalate to where it becomes an actual report we're making to the state, and there's investigations and things like that. Or it's just simply the family saying, you know what, we have a camera in Dad's room. We know a caregiver hasn't been in there.
Yeah.
And we know he keeps this thing in his drawer, and we're not worried about it. We don't even want to do an investigation.
Would you encourage families to maybe put cameras in the home?
We do, yeah. And if there are cameras in the home, we just need to make sure that caregivers know.
Yeah, because you can't video somebody without their knowledge, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that solves a lot of problems, because I have filed police reports, with clients. I've taken them to the police station to file police reports on caregivers, and there's really, without some video evidence, it's just he said, she said,
It's very
and
difficult.
it's messy.
Yes.
Yes. And because I'm a professional advocate, a lot of that falls on me to interact with the detectives or the police department, and then the state agency usually that's involved in that. And it's never, you have empathy for all parties involved: the client, the caregiver, who oftentimes is wrongly accused, frankly. But yeah, it's just, so as families, you mitigate the risk for everybody involved, is what I always say. Like, if your mom or dad's okay with you having cameras in the home, then do that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it just, particularly when you have somebody coming in, because perception's everything, and as we get older, sometimes our perceptions are not very good, or not as good as they could be on a given day. Maybe we don't have the right nutrition, or we haven't had enough fluid intake, or something like that, or maybe a medication, adverse medication reaction. So,
Yes.
right? All those things can play into it.
Yes.
Yeah. And what if there's a personality conflict? Like, how do you match caregivers and clients?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of right in your wheelhouse, isn't it?
Yep. So it's something that I tell clients, and I told one of my clients this today.
Yeah.
Because he's very kind, but kind of nervous to just get to know new caregivers.
Okay.
And his caregiver, unfortunately, isn't available to work with him anymore. And so the conversation today was, first of all, I don't have just one caregiver that can do both shifts, but I have two. However, and then I kind of present because I wanted to make sure, because I know I've worked with this client for a long time. So I do know his needs and everything. I do know that he prefers a male caregiver, but I have two caregivers, but one of them is in fact a female and she's very young. However, she has been with us for 2.5 years and she is my very absolute favorite caregiver.
Yeah.
But I want to remind clients, even though I think that they are phenomenal, this is just based off of what I know about them, how long I've worked with them, the care that I've seen, you know, and the feedback that I've gotten from other clients.
Yeah.
But always remember that despite all of that, how much I'm selling them, it still potentially might not be a good fit in terms of personality.
Personality, yeah.
Or maybe they just always do this one little thing that you just don't like and you can't get over it. So as much as I can recommend a caregiver, I still want to check in because at the end of the day, it still might not be a good match personality-wise.
Yeah.
I think it will be, but
Yeah. And then do you switch people out?
Yeah.
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 So if I'm a family member, don't be afraid to talk to a supervisor or what's your term for your position at? What is that term?
So we've switched things around a little bit recently. So I'm going to call myself a care coordinator.
Care coordinator.
Yes.
Okay.
So client facing, so managing the client, updating care plans.
Okay.
And then also doing scheduling for the client.
Okay.
Yes.
That's a full plate.
It sure is.
Scheduling alone would be enough. Let alone.
It sure is.
Yeah. Okay.
I could go on and on about that too.
Yeah. Okay. We're not going to edit that part out, I tell you. So we've talked a lot of just about everything that I can think of. Is there something that we haven't really addressed that families should know or friends should know if they're, or just somebody's like, you know, I think I need some extra help. I saw the Voice of Aging podcast. What else should I know? Is there anything that comes to mind that I've missed as far as the interviewer?
Yeah, it'll probably come to mind later.
Okay, but not right now?
Yeah,
Okay.
but I think just encouraging families to just not be afraid to reach out and ask questions.
Yeah.
And we also like to just be a resource for families. So if we are not the answer, we can probably find you the answer.
Yeah.
Whether it's Aging Solutions or Jake the Realtor
or somebody, right?
Or if they're just like, I just really need to know the contact for Fairwood or just anything. We can
help them out.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you can get them started in the right direction, right? So, okay. Well, Jessica, this has been great. I'm going to summarize some of our conversation. If I miss anything, you jump in after I'm done, okay? All right. So, we're talking about home care today, and what home care is also referred to as private duty. Correct? Private duty home care. And that means you can invite somebody into your home for, in your company, anywhere from an hour up to 24 hours, either one day or 7 days a week. Very flexible based upon what the client needs are. And you can help with things like food preparation, house cleaning, pet care, medication, but I want to be careful there. They can't administer the medication, can't give the medication to a client. But laundry, making the bed, exercise safely with a gait belt, or, you know, if the client's independent enough without the gait belt. Can they drive the client?
They can.
Can they drive the client in their own car or in the client's car?
Either one.
Either one.
Unless they're a VA client.
If the VA has different rules.
They sure do.
Okay. So make sure you check what the VA rules are, right? Okay. And so that covers most of what you do on a daily basis, right? What people can expect. And the benefits are companionship. You see people that share their stories. It's really a relationship where there's giving on both sides. You as a caregiver receive the wisdom and knowledge
Mhm.
from that person's life and learn how to play, what'd you call it, old games? Think old games? Historical games,
There you go.
popular games back in the day. And then they from you get the benefit of social interaction, maybe getting out of the house, don't have to worry about doctor's appointments necessarily, or maybe grocery shopping, and they just getting out and about and not looking at the four walls of their house the whole time.
Right.
Does that sum it up pretty good?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great.
All right. Good. Well, again, Bryn Malone with the Voice of Aging. I'm pleased to have Jessica come join us and teach us a little bit more about what to expect from private duty, some of the questions to ask, some of the pricing. Make sure you ask about price lists. You can follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify. Okay. And our website is agingsolutionsnw.com. And where can they find you folks?
Yes, you can find us at generationshomecare.org.
See, that's
And we do
perfect.
have a Facebook,
You do.
and I think that's about it.
I think we should be Facebook friends because I'm not sure we are right now. I never see Generations pop up. So
Yeah.
that would be great. Okay, so that's another edition of The Voice of Aging. I'm your host, Bryn Malone, and thank you for joining us.